hadn't met Johnny Williams, it wouldn't have been good at all. But I didn't know what I had until we previewed the picture in Dallas, Texas. In an Italian theater in Dallas, Texas. That was my lucky theater for like my first 4 films. And I took all my films to Texas, including E.T., which we were in Houston. All my films. And I didn't know what we had until the audience told us what we had. I didn't know what we had until when the little boy was killed on the raft. A man got up and I went, oh my God, our first walkout. I've gone too far. Blood coming down of the water. This guy came out and started walking up the aisle and he started running. And I watched him go out the curtains into the lobby. He was heading for the bathroom and he vomited all over the floor of the lobby. And I looked at that guy and then about 5 minutes later he came back and took a seat. And that's when I said, we got a hit!
I've got a 5-year-old who's very fond of going to the academy. There's a big Jaws exhibit there right now. And she's been begging me to watch Jaws. I will not because I need her to like her movies. I was wondering what it's like to have a burden of other people's nightmares as well as their dreams.
Well, welcome. I'd say welcome to the club because all my movies come from my nightmares, even the happy ones come from my nightmares, so it's not a terrible thing.
I know that obviously Jaws was a very challenging shoot. Do you remember what was your most joyful time?
E.T. was my most joyful time. I had 2 really, really joyful memories. E.T. was a joyful time making the film because I discovered, my love for parenting, not just directing. And then The Fabelmans, even though it was painful and highly personal, nothing has ever been more personal to me. It was just a joy to be part of that. And also with this closure date, I probably stayed. There were such friendships forged on regular with the cast and myself. I haven't walked away from Michelle Williams and I became very close after The Fabelmans. Of course, isn't true. Kid like my own surrogate kid before I even had kids. But I came away with 5 true friends after Disclosure Day. And that's very important to me.
This has been a very vital period for you the last 10, 15 years. You've made a lot of films. I'm curious if you can talk about what keeps you motivated, what keeps you wanting to make more movies.
I think once I've been telling stories my whole life. I mean, my best stories have never been, because I have 7 kids, and I put them all to bed at night with stories. I go from room to room like a doctor making calls, from office to office. So my best stories actually, my kids have benefited from, not the audiences. So I just can't stop. I just love that. That's never going to stop. In other words, I can't envision what it would be like not to do what I do. And that would be the worst nightmare of my life, to not get to do what I'm doing.
I think of you as a person who is constantly always at work or working in some fashion, but what do you do when you're not?